Hey everyone, it's Ross of the Hobbyist Den here, and welcome back one and all with another little update. I've been having some fun doing these little update videos, not like trying to cover everything all in one go or big chunks in one go, just little tidbits here and there, keep things interesting. And at the same time, just trying to keep things under 15 minutes. So, just to clarify, because I am contradicting myself here with this video, is in the past I wasn't going to cover anything of me doing wiring. There's tons of videos out there already doing wiring, but this is more of a just a repair, fix, and I kind of want you guys to judge me for my horrible soldering jobs because this is still new to me. Soldering two wires together is one thing, but adhering wire to a track is a painful step. Like, trust me, it's painful. So, once I get all this track rewired up, I'm going to be reinstalling to the roundhouse. But originally I wanted to put the wiring into the fish plates, or underneath them. But then I thought, why do that and re-drill holes to try and get the holes to match these wires? So I'm just like, okay, you know what, let's forget that, because I also got to trim all the other ends of the track because they're not exactly center or even to one another on the grinder. And I'm like, okay, let's skip that. We'll skip all that. Put them back where I had them before, and pray it all works. Now, to move on to the most tedious part of this, my original 3 at the end here, the soldering was still good, so I just put them in ahead of time. But I should point out, when you drill holes for your wires, it's like you go a little bigger. So when I drilled these holes, I kind of went with a drill that's just a little bit bigger than the wire, but just to help kind of hide and keep things tidy. But let me tell you, if you go with the wire size, use it as your pilot drill to drill all your holes first, and then go back with a drill another size or two. I'd probably say 2 sizes bigger than that. So when you're putting your wires through, you're not fighting up against the foam and the plywood as much, or just the plywood in general. But in this case, it's through the roundhouse floor, and then into the polystyrene below, and then into the plywood. Just trust me, just save yourself the trouble of trying to match the wire size. Now, remember how I mentioned to upsize your hole? Well, I actually do it for this one as I just got frustrated with it. I'm like, let's do this. Let's take my own advice and just do it. It's just one hole, but it was worth it. Trust me, it just made everything easier. Now I kind of want to go back and do the rest of them. Now, with the final track now in its place, it's time to take this dummy Union Pacific, was it a GP9 high hood? And just roll it over everything and make sure everything works properly. During this testing, though, there's some of the tracks I didn't get back placed where they originally were. So some of them will tighten down when I get the wiring sorted out. But at the same time, I'm going to go back in here and just gently put a bead of white clear silicone caulking to each track and then weigh them down with a heavy locomotive on each one. That way they will match the height of the turntable and hopefully that fixes everything. Now when I went to adjust the turntable and fix it one day, I stripped the bolt in my youth. So I ended up just drilling the bolt out, putting a little screw and nut in there, and the nut on top needs to be removed and grinded down a little bit on one side, or high belt sanded, just to make it a little more level with the turntable. Because my testing locomotive here, it doesn't clear it quite well, and I know some of the other locomotives I have, the odd one clears it just fine, but some of them are still just kind of like being rubbed on the running gear. But overall, everything is working fine, minus a couple of broken doors. Don't ask. They were all supposed to swivel, but some of the glue said nope and seeped over and snapped the bottom of the other piece off when I tried to close them in the past. I'm a little sad about that, but that's okay. I'll just add some glue and glue them permanently in place later on. So, it's time to finish up the rest of the soldering, and that's in this bit of the roundhouse yard. So I got this, not just these three sidings on their own power, but I got the switching unit isolated from the rest to also be under its own power, and the one ground kind of snapped off on me when reinstalling this. So that's a bit of a chore because if it's in front of me, it's fine. If it's behind the track, it's kind of like, I gotta make this work. And in the end, it did. I just hope when I get this all wired up, attach their switches, it's gonna work fine.
Now, we're going to see if my hard work is paid off.
that one's working. So this one's not working. That one's working. And this next one. Let's try this section of track. So first off, let's see if the roundhouse good. Excellent. Let's troubleshoot this one just back here though. This one is the problem child. They're soldered in there. Ow! Just bang me up the corner. Okay. Well, I'm gonna unsolder this and see if I can't fix it another way. So I think I found the culprit. I had a bead right here, and I noticed the wire was kind of melted into the tie a little bit. So now I got it all set up. It should work. Let's do a test before I install it, and I gotta fix that tie a little bit. Oh, the joys of soldering an advanced layout like this. So, I've got it kind of wedged into the fish plates, got my wires, power's on. Let's see if we get any response out of it. Oh, there we go. It works. So that's all the siding's working. Except for what happened there. Okay, well, it works. That's the important thing. Then we just ran back through. Well, I'm just glad I got that bit done and done up and out of the way for the evening. And I think it's almost 10 o'clock by now. So I'm going to call it a night here and be fresh up for my next day off and try to see how I can get all these wires connected to their junction boxes and ready to go for the switches when we go to power them. But at the same time, it's like some of the wires are now shorter than where they last were from the last time a junction box set up to them, so I got to splice them together. And I'm going to try and solder them together first, because if I go and get more of those little like double female end pinching pieces for wiring, I'm afraid the little steel plates might corrode, because the wire itself hasn't been corroding at all this past year since I got them dangling under there. But those little connector pieces I'm afraid will. So yeah, gotta put a safety shield on and lay there and solder wires together as best I can. So I've got everything here back wired in, including the roundhouse. I did, however, move this block out of the way, put it there, because I don't want to solder a bunch more wires together to make it fit in range. But yeah, I'll make this all work. So the idea here is we got our primary bus connection there from the NCE coming into this big block to fuel the tracks for the turntable, roundhouse, and the other sidings. However, I need to get my 3D printers up and running and adjusted and start printing out that panel that I need to start fitting in the switches. Because what's going to happen is, from here, this is going to run the, well, these two sets will run to the primary on-off switches down at that end. And then from there, those on-off switches will power the smaller switches to each little track stall. It's going to make an interesting flow of wires, but I will pinch these together at some point. Because I hear if they're closer together, you know, kind of like the old telephone cable, the connection works a little better. And I'm like, we'll see. Like these longer ones I can understand. These small ones, probably just leave them alone or just kind of twist tie them together or something. But yeah, I do want to test to make sure this is all solder joints are working properly too, so let's find out. So I'm just going to crawl underneath again and see if this is going to power up. All I got to do is touch the ends all of these block connectors. Better yet, maybe I should just wire it up temporarily. Let's do that instead. So there's the first wired mess. And the second bit of wired mess. It's all connected. Let's just see if this works or blows up. So part of the furnace noises. I'm going to plug this in and we'll see if our train fires up. We have a working engine. Put the headlight on. I should clean this track that's getting kind of scummy a little bit. Just the stuff around the roundhouse. So far everything's working. Let's change direction. Oh, it died. I think it's because of a slightly dirty track. There's a bump there. Okay, so this siding does not power. Really? We had power before. That's the other siding. Maybe one of the wires isn't quite making a connection. Because this set track is more jammed up than that set. We're working. It's the same problem. We jammed up. Okay, so this one and this main part's working. So I'm going to go back and get the soldering done and fix that lump though. Try the turntable, see if it dies out. Yep. So these wires need to get switched. Excellent. So we're going to fix this too. Overall, I'm quite happy with the turnout, even though these two aren't working properly for some odd reason. But because I got too many wires jammed in there and one isn't making the connection like the other one. But that's okay. Turntable works. All those other ones work. This one works perfect. So, till some more track shows up, I guess next thing for me to focus on will be to marking out where I'm going to put my primary on-off switch for this track and the sub switches for everything. So that'll be fun to see. Alrighty guys, in the meantime, hope you're having fun and do take care. And Rudy, what are you playing with? A little piece of foam. But yeah, take care everybody.